Welcome. Thanks for being here. This is the beginning of a course called Control in UCI Intermediate Block Controller. We are going to be going deeply into everything that is block controller throughout the course of this class. We're going to do all of it in the context of an actual installation where we'll be talking about raising the shades, controlling the lights, doing video routing and display powers, all the sorts of things that you're likely to actually do in a real conference room, and we'll do it with the block controller in real time. If you took the Control in UCI Fundamentals class, which we suggest that you do, then you'll find a lot of the content of this course familiar because we did it with control components in the past. But in this class, we're going to exclusively work with the block controller to make sure that you learn new ways of doing the same things. And there's a third version of this class called the Control in UCI Advanced, which does it all with Lua scripting. So this is the second of 3 courses. You aren't required to do the first one if you didn't need to, but if you can, it's probably a good idea. I'm going to explain things, a fresh time for everything that we see, what we did see in the previous class, but don't worry, you're in good hands no matter what. Now, nobody in the entire world wants to listen to me for just straight 8 hours, which is probably the length of this class. So I've got with me my cohort, Patrick Hine, to help keep things light and fresh. Patrick, how are you?
I'm doing good. I've been listening to your voice for 20 years, and so I like the gratingness that it has on my brain. But yeah, I'm here to help break it up, help to create moments of clarity. Because again, we are conducting this class as if it were a live class. So there is no teleprompter. Nate has curriculum. He has a basic outline. But I will hopefully help to augment some of the live eccentricities and nuances of delivering a class live on camera.
And you can and should constantly find the need to pause the video, go back and look at it again. I'm going to be writing code. You're probably going to, realize I'm going too fast at times. Pause it, go back, look. There will be times when we ask you to pause it, go back and look. So that's what you're in for. Get comfortable, get something that you like to drink nearby, get some snacks, buckle up. Let's do this. So when we talk about control inside of Q-SYS, the first thing we want to talk about are the 3 various ways that you do control. Hopefully this is a little bit familiar with you already. You could approach control by using control components, you could use the block controller, or you could use Lua scripting. Now, doing one of these is not exclusive to the other ones. There are a lot of good reasons why you would want to use certain elements of one and certain elements of the others within the same script at the same time. Control components I like because they're really straightforward. They're really analog. It's like taking a wire and plugging it into something else, and you can see that wire. Here's a couple of examples of simple control components. If you took the previous version of this class, or even if you've taken Control 101, which you should have because that's a prerequisite, then these should look fairly familiar to you. These are the kinds of things that I would always use control components for. Like up in the very top one here, we've got an audio player that when one audio player plays, it sends a signal to the other audio player to stop, and then whichever audio player is active is controlling the router in that room. Now that's really simple, and it's really easy for someone else to look at that and figure out what's going on, right? They can see the wires, they can see how they're connected. If you wrote a script to do that, then the next person down the line has to go and open up that script and figure out if they can read your script and look at all the connections, whereas this, you can just glance at it and you can tell what it does. All of these examples, something like using a simple control delay to toggle on a bunch of things in sequence, a flip-flop, which can turn on and off different snapshots by reversing its polarity, essentially. In the bottom, we've got a speakerphone where when the speakerphone is connected, you show a UCI layer. When it's not connected, you reverse that and show a different layer. Again, really easy to look at for anyone. And one thing that we're going to constantly be pushing in this class is the importance of making sure that the next designer down the line can read your design, right? You might not be the person who's on call if something goes wrong at 2 a.m. when something goes wrong, in this building. If it's not you, the next person who is looking at it should be able to figure out what you're doing fairly easily because they probably know where you live. And they, that's violence right there. I'm trying to save your life right here. So everything you can do to make the future person able to digest your design, the better. That's kind of the goal. So if you want to go the other end of the spectrum, now you're talking about the text controller, Lua scripting, right? This is what you get when you're dealing with the Lua script engine. You've got a big black screen and you got to type in Lua code. And if you know what you're doing, that's very comfortable to you. I'm guessing you're here in this class because you don't know what you're doing there. And you want something that's a little bit more tangible, a little bit more friendly to learn how to write code. And so that is what the block controller is for. Here's where we're living for the entirety of this course. These blocks that just snap to each other and they help you write code. Everything about the visual layout of the block controller is designed to be really easy so that you can't mess up the syntax of the Lua under the hood, right? This is based on the same visual coding design programs that kids can use to learn the fundamentals of coding. In fact, in the Control 101 videos that you may have just watched, we even made a joke about that, where like I pulled a baby out from the desk and the baby did the programming for you, because that's the whole point, is that the baby, even a baby,
Nate.
Yes, Patrick.
What happened to that kid? The baby.
I forgot about the baby. Is he still in the desk?
I'm 8 years old, Dad.
Why?
I've been down there for 6 years.
Where are you going?
Freedom.
I am calling somebody right now.
I never checked that drawer. I thought he wasn't in there anymore.
Kid!
That's my bad. That's my bad. But before I go to jail, let's finish the course. So the whole point of the block controller is that it's easy to use. The Lua is written under the hood for you. You can't mess up the syntax. It's going to write the code for you. The block controller is still a Lua editor. All right, it's still Lua. You are writing Lua in the background. It's just a translation language, essentially, where you are writing using these visual blocks, and then it translates it into viable Lua code under the hood. So it's actually really useful if you do intend on going forward and using the text controller to learn Lua. You can use the block controller to study your own blocks along the way, look at the Lua that it's writing, learn how to parse different things. We'll look at that a couple times throughout the class, but that's what the block controller is. We're using this visual coding language to translate it into Lua.